Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, so okay, we will start a new chapter today. Before that, one small topic is remaining. We'll discuss that and we'll move to each generation. Okay, walls with the each generation. So the topic remaining is thermal contact resistance. Okay. So what is this thermal contact resistance? Till now we have done the solution of problems of planar, cylindrical, and spherical walls. Okay, we have also considered composite walls. Okay, or layers. Okay, multi-layered walls. So when we have more than one layer, okay, that's composite wall or multi-layered wall. That means we are pressing one wall against the other. Okay, and so what we assume here is at the interface there is a perfect thermal contact. Okay. So if you have two walls, so at the interface, what we say here is a perfect thermal contact. Or so if we say one wall is of highly conductive material, the first one, copper or aluminum. Okay, then we have a you can say that temperature profile is very almost horizontal. Okay, T1. So interface temperature here, say T2, and this one is say insulating material. Then we have a more slope here. Okay. So the temperature T2 is actually we are assuming is same on the highly conducting wall. Okay, say this is aluminum and the outer one is some case rubber or some insulating material. Okay. So at the interface between two walls, we assume that temperature is same. Okay, same value on both surfaces. But this is a highly idealized assumption. Idealized assumption because we know that the walls, okay, even though we when we see that we can say it is a smooth wall, okay, by touching also we can feel the surface is very fine polished, we can say it's a smooth surface. But when we bring the two smooth surfaces in contact, okay, still there is a gap between the two atoms or the two surfaces, because there will be numerous peaks and valleys, in the micro level or atomic or molecular level, if you see. Okay, so that is the reason we cannot get that perfect thermal contact between the walls. So that means there is a additional resistance, because if there is a perfect thermal contact, that means entire surface is in touch with the next surface, then we can do this assumption of perfect thermal contact. But that is not the case, and there will be additional resistance because of the imperfect contact. So wherever there is a contact between the atoms, so what will happen is through that contact there is a conduction. But if that means two peaks, they will come in contact with each other, and there is a material to material contact. But when there is a valley, okay, come in contact with each other, that means there is an air gap between the surfaces. Okay, so these multiple air gaps will actually reduce the rate of heat transfer. Okay, reduce the rate of heat transfer, because you know that thermal conductivity of air is very small, right? So then if there is no material contact, there is no conduction, it's because of convection, that is the rate of the heat transfer that takes place. Okay, so that means the resistance offered by the interface has to be considered if you want the perfect calculation of heat transfer through composite walls. Okay, if you want to estimate rate of heat transfer accurately, then we need to consider this extra resistance offered by the interface. So I'll show you one more picture which gives that clear understanding. Okay. Okay, so the first case here, okay, there are A, ideal or perfect thermal contact is shown. Right, in the figure you can see that first wall, okay, there is a temperature distribution, and at the interface, the temperatures are the first wall and the second wall will be taken same value. Okay, and if you, this is idealized assumption. It is possible when we have the heat flow lines, okay, like this. Okay, there is no discontinuity, or sorry, the lines are parallel to each other. Whatever heat comes from the first wall goes into the second wall. Okay, so there's, so you can understand, right? What is this one? Excuse me. What is this one? What are these lines? Heat flow lines. Okay, so they are parallel to each other, and that is because we have perfect thermal contact. Okay, it's an idealized case. But when we have the practical surfaces, okay, or any surface, you can think that it's ultra fine, smooth, but still we have some air gaps between the two surfaces. Okay, so when the real surfaces they are coming in contact, you can see that, so the peaks will touch each other, whereas the valleys form the air gap here. Okay, so you can see that the deformation or okay, reorientation of heat flow lines. Heat flow lines will, now what it will tell you, why these heat flow lines will bend and go through the, okay, the region where there is a contact, material contact. Okay, so this is nothing but material contact region. So anybody can tell me that why we have that nature? See the heat flow lines.
Roughness.
Okay, roughness, yeah, roughness, because of the surface roughness, we have the contact between the peaks, but there is a air gap between valleys. Okay, but why these lines, they will come closer at the contact region? Does it gives you some understanding or this one information when we have lines like this?
Mode of transfer through conduction is easier than convection.
Okay, rate of the conduction is easier than convection. Okay, that is one thing we can say. Also,
medium is changing, sir. So heat transfer would prefer like uniform, like same conduction and convection. It has to go from conduction to convection to conduction.
Yeah, that is
then
right.
At the point, it will be conduction itself, uniform.
Okay, okay. So if you look at remove that interface region here, okay, then the later it will become again lines, straight lines, okay. But at the interface, you can see that they are coming closer and passing through the contact region. What it tells you is the more heat transfer will take place through the contact region. Is it okay? The contact region will, okay, more heat transfer will take place through the contact region. Okay, why? Because there is a material contact, conduction is okay, is much more than the convection in the gap. Here there is air which is having low thermal conductivity and heat capacity, so we have less heat transfer in the air gap region and more heat transfer through the contact region. Okay, but entire surface, so whatever heat comes from the first wall, or okay, heat conduction through the first wall and heat conduction in the second wall, they are same, right? At steady state, Q conduction. What about that? Should be also same through the interface. Okay, so if I say that interface also should be same. Okay, but here the flow lines are all parallel to each other everywhere. Okay, but at the interface they deviate and more heat will pass through wherever there is a material contact. Okay, and that way. Okay, when this happens, okay, that means in the interface there will be large temperature gradient compared to the solid material. So you can see that there is a large temperature gradient here at the interface. Okay, so that means interface offers great resistance compared to the solid material. Okay, so you understand. Previously, I told you that when there is a low thermal conductivity, that means it is having high resistance to heat transfer. And also that reflects in terms of temperature gradient or the slope of the line, right? Here I wrote, see, aluminum has higher thermal conductivity compared to rubber. So the line slope will indicate the material is whether it is highly conducting or non-conducting. So same way at the interface, if you look at the temperature profile, there is a huge drop in a small distance. Okay, so that will offer extra resistance to the heat transfer. So we can estimate the rate of or the resistance offered to the heat transfer by experiments. Okay, so there is no other way to estimate this one. Only through experiments we can estimate the rate of heat transfer. So for the conduction through the interface, we can write Q interface will have conduction where, okay, contact region, and Q convection gap. So anybody having any doubt regarding this expression what I wrote? So Q interface is nothing but the conduction wherever there is a contact and convection wherever there is a gap. Okay, is it okay? Right. So this at the interface, whatever heat transfer across this wall to this wall is because, okay, so the conduction, convection. And this can be expressed as HC, area of the wall, into delta T interface. Okay, using Newton's law of cooling, we can write this one. So you can write here, okay, using Newton's law of cooling. So we can write Q interface as HCA delta T interface, okay, where HC, where contact conductance, okay, the same unit as the H, convectivity transfer coefficient, W, or sorry, watt per meter square degree centigrade. Okay, so but this HC value is obtained by experiments, is determined through experiments. Okay. Through experiments. Something is got deleted here. Okay, yeah. So HCA delta T interface. Okay. So that is how we can estimate the contact resistance, okay, based on contact conductance, okay, contact conductance, which is determined through experiments. Now,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, any doubt? Okay.
So this entire expression is equal to HCA delta T or only Q convection of gap?
Entire. So
Okay.
conduction and convection is expressed together. It is okay. So we use Newton's law of cooling. So why can't we use Fourier law? Anybody can tell why? Instead of writing HA delta T, we can use minus K dt by dx. No. Can we do that? I'm just asking a simple question. So here we are putting the conduction and convection in the gap, conduction in the contact region together and express using Newton's law of cooling, HCA delta T. So instead of using Newton's law of cooling, can't we use Fourier law? Yeah, Rajat. Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know? No, there may be
No,
some reason,
sir.
right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So this basically because the interface thickness is 0, right? So what will happen dt by dx?
Infinite.
Infinite. Okay, infinite. So that is the that's why we cannot express that way. So we have to use Newton's law of cooling. Okay. Yeah. So then we'll solve a problem. So basically, what is the problem?
Can you scroll up?
Yes. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll do one problem of this thermal contact resistance. So the thermal contact conductance at the interface of two 1 centimeter thick aluminum plate is measured to be 11,000 watt per meter square degree centigrade. Determine the thickness of aluminum plate whose thermal resistance is equal to the thermal resistance of the interface between the plates. Okay. So the problem tells us there are two 1 centimeter thick aluminum plates. Okay. There are two plates of 1 centimeter thick. This is also aluminum. This is also aluminum. Okay. So let's say temperature here is T1. If you assume perfect thermal contact, the interface temperature is, and here T. Now, if you assume perfect thermal contact, so tell me whether T1, T2, and T3 they are on straight line or not.
Yes, a straight line.
Yes.
sir.
Okay, because they have these two materials have same thermal conductivity, so the slope of because thickness is same again, 1 centimeter here, 1 centimeter. Okay, or even if thickness is not same, also will have a straight line. Okay, that is passing through these 3 points. Okay, this is perfect thermal contact. So having two plates or having a single plate of 2 centimeter. Okay, is there any difference here? If we assume perfect thermal contact, okay, then is there any difference here? T1 and say this temperature here, same as T3. So we won't get any difference in the rate of heat transfer if you consider two separate plates or a single 2 centimeter thick plate. Do you agree?
Sir, for perfect contact, right?
Yeah, if you assume perfect contact, then there is no difference, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So now we have to appreciate that, okay, because of the two separate plates, there is a thermal resistance, extra resistance or contact resistance, and because of that, there is a huge decrease in the rate of heat transfer. So we have to find out what is the thickness of the aluminum plate which replaces that the interface so that we can assume perfect thermal contact. Okay. So given HC is given. Okay. So 1 by HC can be written as the contact resistance. Okay, I think I missed that. 1 by HC is RC, the contact resistance per unit area. Okay, per unit area. So we can write 1 by HC is equal to RC thermal contact resistance. So similarly, we know that a planar wall for planar wall thermal contact thermal resistance of a planar wall per unit area. So can you tell me what is this RK equal to? RK by area, okay?
X2 minus
So
X
that
by
is,
K.
yeah, L. Okay, sorry. Here it's okay. So per unit area means you are dividing by area, right? So into unit area or area we are considering here is 1 meter square. So in the formula, its area goes to the denominator. So you have to multiply here, okay? L by K. So understand, okay? RK by A. So thermal resistance of planar wall of unit area is better than per unit area. So please understand here, okay? So what is this is we are measuring the or giving the value of resistance of unit area wall, okay, of unit area. So area we have to substitute equal to 1, that's all, okay? So that means that we're not removing the area there, but we are substituting its value K into 1, okay, area equal to 1. Okay, so we have the contact resistance here 1 by 11,000 and the planar wall of unit area as a resistance of L by K. So we can now find out the thickness of the wall by equating these two resistances, okay? So equivalent thickness of aluminum wall can be obtained by equating RC equal to RK. Okay, thermal conductivity is given in the question, I think 237. So we can substitute. So L using capital L. So we used capital L probably before. So RK equal to RC. So L equal to 1 by HC into K or K by HC. So you can write this is 237 divided by 11,000. So how much? This one 0.0215. Isn't it? Okay. So any thing you don't understand, please tell me now only. Okay. Yeah. Srinivasa.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You got it right.
Yes,
So
sir.
what we are doing? Yeah. we have a contact resistance value is given. Okay, and we are equating that to a planar ball of unit area. Okay, and then we are finding the thickness. So the value is correct, right? 0.0215 meter, or it is 21.5 millimeter, or okay, 2.15 centimeter. So that means, okay, when there is a two plates instead of one like this, then there is a extra resistance of like we are putting extra wall, aluminum wall of 2.15 centimeter thick. Okay. So it's like this. Okay, we have 1 centimeter plates. Okay, now if you assume perfect thermal contact, okay, rate of heat transfer through this one, imperfect thermal contact, okay, and rate of heat transfer to this arrangement is same now. Q imperfect and Q 3 layers, I guess. Okay. See how much extra resistance that we have because of interface. Because of interface, we have to add a layer of 2.15 centimeter thick. And in this case, what we do, we assume a perfect thermal contact. Okay. Here the temperature profile will be. Then there is a steep drop in the temperature at the interface, and then same slope as before. This slope and this slope is same. But here we have a same slope everywhere. Here to here. Okay. In this case, we assume perfect contact and we are replacing the contact resistance by an equivalent aluminum layer of 2.15 centimeter thick. Okay. Now, tell me how much percentage, okay, reduction in heat transfer if you have a 2 centimeter thick wall, 2 centimeter thick, say single wall, okay. Compare that with the 1 centimeter thick walls. How much it will be reduced? Come on.
Can you repeat question again?
Yeah, if there is a single wall of 2 centimeter aluminum wall, so the rate of heat transfer will be say Q1, and there are 2 layers, okay, 1 centimeter thick layers. I'll say heat transfer through this one is Q2. So tell me the ratio of Q1 by Q2 or Q2 by Q1 approximately. You are maintaining same surface temperature, okay? Temperatures will remain same. T1 here and T2 here, same here T1, T2. Is it difficult?
1 minute, sir.
Yeah. Only additional resistance, right? Resistance will increase. In this case, what is the resistance? We know it is only because of thickness of 2 centimeter. Now we know already that is equivalent to this one. So what is the thickness here? L. 4.15 centimeter, right? So you just take the ratio, then 1 by resistance. So Q will decrease when the resistance increases. Okay. So Q2 will be less than Q1. So it will be 2 by 4.15. Around 48% of the Q1. Okay, Q2 will be 0.48 times Q1. Check it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you got it right, because if you consider the contact resistance, the actual heat transfer is less. Okay. So when we have a multi-layered wall, the actual heat transfer will be less, okay, than the one we obtain using perfect thermal contact. Understand that, okay? So rate of heat transfer obtained using perfect thermal contact is higher than when we assume the imperfect thermal contact. So generally we neglect that because we will be on the safer side. Usually we go for insulation, multi-layered insulation. So our aim is to reduce the rate of heat transfer. So by assuming this perfect thermal contact, okay, so we overestimate the rate of heat transfer. So no problem with the actual interface offer more resistance, so the actual heat transfer will be less than our estimation. So anybody having any confusion, please ask now itself. Okay, we'll move on to the next chapter. Okay, no doubt, right?
No, sir.
So one more thing is, I think you have MATLAB 2 right now. So in that you have heat transfer experiments, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So did you check this one manual? You have the composite wall experiment this time. No, you didn't check. Okay. So if there is a composite wall experiment, then in that you will consider 3-layered wall, okay, planar walls, and heat transfer through that composite wall. Okay. So through the experiment, you will measure the surface temperatures. Also, you will measure the interface temperatures. Okay. There is a thermocouple at the interface to measure the interface temperature also. Then you have to plot the surface this temperature profile, okay, for this composite wall. And when you plot that, you will come to know that the calculated values, theoretically calculated values, because we know the material, we know the thermal conductivity. By knowing the first okay, left side temperature and right side temperature, we can measure the we can calculate the interface temperatures. You know already that, okay. So the calculated value and the measured thermocouple gives some value that will not match, okay. And what is the reason for that? You have to tell. At the interface, we have thermocouples that will give you the values at the interface, but also by knowing the rate of heat transfer across the wall, okay, we measure that using the heat supplied and heat taken out on the right other side of the wall, okay. So that is possible to measure what is the rate of heat transfer through the wall. But if we calculate, so the calculated values and the measured values do not match, okay, and because of that contact resistance, okay. When we calculate, we will not consider the contact resistance, so that is why there is a mismatch in the values. Okay, I'm not sure whether that experiment is there this time because you have a combined lab where you have the other experiments of I think thermodynamic cycles also and heat transfer both are combined. So I don't know whether all the experiments are there.
So it
Anyway,
is given in
okay.
the lab manual.
Yeah, it is given in the lab manual. That composite wall is there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Yeah, then you can check it. Okay. Yes. So when you do the experiment, please keep this in your mind. Okay, so we will consider next heat generation, rate of heat generation. So first, uniform heat generation in a planar wall. Okay. I think I have given some examples before also, so where we will have this type of problems, heat generation. An example you can give: uniform heat generation in a wall. Come on. No? Some examples where we have the heat generation in a planar wall. Can you give some examples?
So the walls of my house.
Heat generation in the walls of your house. How come? I mean, yeah, you have to reason it, right? How heat transfer through the wall is fine, but heat generation in house wall is.
Oh,
What
sorry,
is the
sir.
reason?
It's not generation, sir. It's transfer. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, heat transfer. Okay. So if you have electrical plate heater, right? Electrical plate heaters, you might have seen this. Okay. So there we have the rate heat generation because of the resistance of the plate. Okay. Any other?
Coils.
Yeah. There is some chemical reaction is going on in a wall, then like exothermic reaction, then we have the heat generation in the wall, or like curing of concrete. Right? So you might have heard this curing of concrete, right? When the initial stages of construction, usually the this slabs, okay, concrete slabs, they will be, what we will do, we will pour the water every day, 2 or 3 times to cool it and cure it. Okay, there will be heat generation within the wall. Okay, and that rate of heat generation will go down with the time. Okay. So there are some examples like this where we have the planar walls with the heat generation, electrical plate heater or curing of concrete. Okay, or maybe we are making some battery or using some alkaline, okay, powders. That also, if it is arranged in a planar, most of the batteries, they will come in cylindrical shapes. Okay, but if it is in planar shape, then we can also consider it as a planar wall with a uniform heat generation. Okay, so that means we have to solve this problem. And what is the governing equation? Governing equation we have derived it. Okay. So again, steady state we are considering. So first I will write, okay, tell me the complete equation we derived for the Cartesian coordinate. So we have dou squared t by dou x squared plus dou squared t by dou y squared plus dou squared t by dou z squared. And then what is the term here? Q generation by k equal to 1 by alpha tau t by dou t. Okay. So then we can simplify this for 1D heat conduction or steady state first, steady state, one-dimensional heat conduction with heat generation. So we will consider the wall, okay, and coordinate system I will attach to the left side wall here, x. So heat conduction in the x direction, okay, one-dimensional heat conduction in the x direction. So that time you tell me if it is steady state, we don't have the right hand side term, okay, and heat flow only in the x direction. So there is no dou square t by dou y square and dou square t by dou z square. So the Gauss equation will reduce to dou square t by dou x square plus q generation by equal to. So where q generation is the rate of heat generation per unit volume. Okay. Rate of heat generation per unit volume. Rate of okay. So this is how we can obtain the Gauss equation from top-down approach. That we will write the entire equation first. Then for our case, we simplify because we are doing steady state problem and we are considering only one-dimensional conduction in the x direction, okay, with heat generation term. So only these two terms will remain in the equation. So if you want to do bottom-up approach, that means you have to consider the element in the wall and write the heat balance for that, and you will have same equation. Okay, bottom-up approach. Okay, or from the fundamental principles, you can derive the same thing. So, okay, we can also do that. So consider a planar wall, okay, and so our coordinate system is attached to the left side wall here. So x is 0 here, and x equal to L. Okay. And I'm considering a small element of thickness dx in the wall. So the rate of heat entering into the wall is Qx, and the rate of heat leaving on the right side is Qx plus Tx. And also within this element there is a heat generation. Okay, so we can write Qx is rate of heat entering. Okay, Q generation rate of heat generated in the element so here you write to the element, okay. And so tell me what is the rate of heat generated within the element. For that we need the area also, okay. Let's say we know the area of the wall, okay, conduction area. So this area perpendicular to the heat conduction, say A. So then what is the rate of heat generated? Q generation equal to Q generation into volume, okay. Volume of the element is area into dx. Understand? Where Q generation I have written here is the rate of heat generation per unit volume, okay. So what is the unit of this one? Watt per meter cube. So we have to multiply by the volume of the element. So we will have what is the total heat generated within this small elemental volume, okay. And the Qx plus dx is the rate of heat leaving, okay. And we already know that using Taylor series, okay, we can approximate by truncating the Taylor series, we can approximate Qx plus dx, okay, as, can you tell me what is this, how we can write for small delta x? Or delta x is, when delta x is small, or sorry, dx is small. So anyway, the dx is differential, so that is itself the meaning. Differential element means the small element. Okay, so then what you can say? Qx plus dx equal to? You have to tell me. Come on, we have done this before. Adarsh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. How you expand this? Qx plus dx.
Yeah, so yeah, there was an expression we derived it for.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So Qx plus.
Yeah, Qx plus.
Del of Qx. Del
Or
of
d by
Qx
dx, because this is a one-dimensional case. Okay, d by dx of. Okay.
d by
Qx
dx. Qx
okay.
into dx.
Yes. So this is the one approximation. Okay, it's not because Taylor series is infinite series. We are neglecting the higher order terms here. Okay, we are neglecting the higher order terms, and we are just keeping the first two terms of the Taylor series. So this is possible because our dx is very small. Now you can write the heat balance. Okay, energy balance. What that means? We have to say that whatever entering, okay, plus whatever heat generated is equal to the rate of heat leaving the element. Okay? So whatever entering is Qx, and whatever generated is Qgen, and that should be equal to the heat leaving the element. Substitute, and you can write Qx plus Q generation equal to So this one we can write from this Taylor series approximation, qx plus d by dx of qx dx. So we can equate that whatever heat that is going out, okay, will be same as the heat. Sorry. So Q generation equal to d by dx of qx dx. We can write. Now substitute for Q generation. Q generation is nothing but Q small q generation into a dx. Q generation into a dx. And on the right hand side we have d by dx. So what is qx? Using Fourier law. Using Fourier law, we can write qx equal to minus ka dt by dx. So substitute here qx equal to minus ka dt by dx into dx. So that dx can be cancelled here, and we have area also that can be cancelled. Okay. Simplify. You assume the thermal conductivity is constant, then we can take it out and we can write k t squared t by k d squared t by dx squared plus q generation equal to 0. Okay. Or if you bring the k or divide entire equation by k, then you have same equation d squared t by dx squared plus q generation divided by k equal to 0. So same thing what we have done here. Okay. So dou square t by dou x square plus q generation by k equal to 0. So that's the governing equation. Okay. Now we can integrate this equation 2 times. So what do you get if you integrate this equation? So you can take okay, right, d squared t by dx squared, and the other part we can take on the right hand side q generation by k, and integrate it. You will have dt by dx equal to minus q generation by k into x plus constant c1. Okay. Then integrate again. You can write t is a function of x equal to, tell me, minus q generation by k. What do you get?
X squared by 2.
X squared by 2. Okay.
Plus C1x
Then
plus C2.
C1x plus C2. Okay. So this is actually temperature profile within the wall. So tell me, is it linear? Not linear. Okay. Quadratic. So it's a non-linear temperature profile that we get. Okay. Yes. Now to determine C1 and C2, we need the boundary conditions. Okay. So C1 and C2 can be found using boundary conditions. Okay, now the question comes. Okay, what are the different cases that can be there? Okay, so the wall can be equally cooled on both sides, or it can be unequally cooled on either side, or it can be either insulated one on one side. Okay, so there are different conditions that can be applied, and C1 and C2 can be obtained for each different case. So we will first take up the case where we have same temperature on both sides. Okay. Case 1, both surfaces have same temperature. So when this is happening, we are putting the wall is in the fluid. Okay, there's a huge reservoir, and same fluid is on either side of the wall. Okay, and same convective heat transfer coefficient is applicable on either side of the wall. Then we have this situation where the wall temperature is same on both sides. Okay, right. So then you can imagine another situation where the wall is actually separating two fluids, different fluids, right? Heat generating wall, which is separating two different fluids, or maybe the fluid having different temperature. Okay, one is hot fluid, one is cold fluid, or one side of the wall we have hot fluid, and other side of the wall we have a cold fluid. Okay, depending on these situations, the wall surface temperatures will change. So the simplest one, when we have same fluid on either side and same convective heat transfer coefficient is applicable on either side, okay, then the wall temperatures will be same on either side. Okay, so in that case, what is the temperature distribution in the wall? Okay, let's calculate the C1 and C2 values. So for this case, the boundary conditions are at x equal to 0, that is on the left wall, x equal to 0, and here x equal to L, right wall. So what is the temperature? T equal to T wall, TW, and at x equal to L, T equal to, right? So now you have the temperature profile here. So let's say this equation 1, applying boundary conditions into 1. Okay, apply at x equal to 0. What will happen at x equal to 0? T equal to T wall. Okay, and what we have here is minus Q generation by K minus Q generation by K into zero, x is 0, so 0 square, then C1 into 0 plus C2. So what it will give you? The constant C2 equal to T wall. Okay, substitute, and we can write T of x equal to minus Q generation by K into x squared divided by 2 plus C1 into X plus C2. No, C2 is TW, sorry. TW. Okay. Apply another boundary condition, that is X equal to L at X equal to L. What is the temperature there? Same, T wall minus Q generation by K. Yeah. What will happen here? Into? Yeah. Anybody? One at least.
Elsewhere.
I to know that you are participating in the class. Okay. That's okay. Sanyam?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What is next here? What should I write? L square by 2. Next, yeah, tell me. C1?
C1L plus TW.
C1L plus TW. Right? We have TW here. We have TW on the right hand side also. So simplify and you can tell me what is C1. Sonia.
Generation by K into L by 2.
Yeah, minus is there? No, right?
No, sir.
Okay. Q generation L by
2K.
2K. Okay, now substitute into this equation and we can write the temperature profile Tx equal to. So first I will write the T wall, okay, constant value wall temperature. Then C1 into X, that is Q generation into L by 2K is C1 into X. Then minus Q generation divided by 2K into L or X square. Sorry. X square. So you can take out that common part, Q generation by 2K, and you can write T wall plus Q generation by 2K into, here we have L into X, L into X minus X square. So this is the temperature profile that we have. Okay, you substitute X value and you have the temperature at that location. When X equal to 0, what is the temperature? You can see that. When X equal to 0, we have, this is 0, so temperature is T wall. When X equal to L, also this is 0, and we have the same temperature, T wall. And in between that, the temperature varies, okay, parabolically, or the quadratic nature of the curve, okay. So that's what it is shown here. Temperature on these two surfaces is same, and the profile shows this nature, okay, parabolic nature. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to also find out the maximum temperature point. Okay, we have to find out T maximum in the wall.
The maximum should be at half the length. No?
Yes, you can find out that. Okay, location
but,
of.
if the temperatures are different, then it will not be at half the length.
Yeah, that will not. We'll take up that case also. Okay, that will be at different location. So location of maximum temperature.
So if you put X is equal to L by 2, we'll get maximum, sir.
Yeah, that is sure, but we have to find out how to locate it. Location of maximum. How to locate it?
Differentiate with X.
So we have that finding the maximum or minimum, okay, temperature. How do you find the maximum of a given function?
D by dx equal to 0.
Yeah, you take the derivative and equate it to 0, okay. So location of maximum temperature, what do we say at maximum? T equal to T max dt by dx equal to 0. So you have the temperature profile here. So tell me what is dt by dx? TW, so it's 0 plus Q generation divided by 2K. What do you get here? We take the derivative with respect to x, that is L minus 2x. Okay. So this should be equal to 0. So solve. That means L minus 2x is 0. X equal to L by 2. Okay, at the middle of the wall, we have the maximum temperature. Occurs at the middle or center of the wall. Yeah. Sudhanshu, any question? Sudhanshu. Okay, so we got the location, and what is the maximum value also we can write. Okay, T max, you have to substitute.
T max is TW plus
X, yeah, x equal to L by 2 in the, this is our equation 2. T max equal to T wall plus Q generation
into L
2K.
square.
Yeah, L into, okay, L by 2 minus L squared by 4. So you simplify, this will be L squared by 4. So then it will be T wall plus how much? Q generation
Q
into L
generation into
square
L square by 8K.
8K. Yes. Okay. So that is the maximum temperature in the wall that occurs at x equal to L by 2. And you can now calculate what is the rate of heat transfer at x equal to 0 and at x equal to L. Okay. So how we can estimate that is Q at x equal to 0 equal to minus Ka dt by dx at x equal to 0. So we have that dt by dx here at x equal to 0. What is the value? You can just check it. Minus Ka dt by dx at x equal to 0. Tell me. Here itself, you can write x equal to 0 means. What do you get?
Minus KAL.
Minus is there? No minus, right? X is 0. Q generation
Is
by L by
minus
2K. So this will be Q generation L by 2K. Yes. So this is negative. Why? Anybody can tell me? K will cancel out. Okay, K will go there. So K is not there. So we have Q generation into A into L divided by 2. Now tell me what is AL by 2? Okay, AL by 2 is the volume of the wall divided by 2. Is it okay? Area of the wall into thickness is nothing but its volume. So we have heat that is going out in x direction is minus Q generation into AL by 2. This quantity is negative, and what is the reason for that? Anybody? What this minus sign indicates actually?
The heat flow direction from
Yes, it flows in the negative x direction. That's all, nothing else. Okay, so here it is going out. So that is in negative x direction. Okay, that is why it is minus. So at x equal to 0, this is okay. What is the value? This will be minus Q generation divided by AL by 2. And exactly it tells you that okay, whatever heat that is generated in okay in the half region of the wall is going in this direction. The rest okay on the right side half of the wall it will go in this direction. So you can check it. You can check what is the value of heat flow at x equal to L. Rate of yeah, Samalya, any questions?
Yes, sir. Same value but positive.
Yes, you got positive, correct. Okay, at x equal to L, it is minus Ka, and you can see that dt by dx at x equal to L, it is minus, okay, minus Q generation into L by 2K, right? If you substitute here in this equation, x equal to L, then it is L minus 2L. So we have minus L. So you will get dt by dx equal to minus Q generation by 2K. So that means this will be minus Q generation by 2K, and this will be positive. Oh, sorry, Q generation L is there. Sorry. So this can be written as Q generation to AL by 2. So half of the heat will go in the left side, half of the heat will go to the right side. Interesting, okay, in this case. And what is the rate of heat transfer at exactly center here? What is the Q value?
0.
0, exactly. Okay, so there is no heat transfer in left or right direction, and only at x equal to L by 2, Q equal to 0, because dt by dx equal to 0 here. So Q equal to 0 at the center of the wall. Okay. Now the case where the wall temperature is not known, but we know that the wall is in the fluid. Okay, there's a fluid here with the temperature both sides of the wall. The same fluid is there with the temperature TF, and we also know that the heat transfer coefficient, okay, is known, but we don't know the wall temperature. We don't know this. Okay, so what we can say, whatever heat comes to the wall here will be convected. So we can say that Q convected, or Q at x equal to 0 equal to Q convected. And on the other side also we can write here Q at x equal to L equal to Q convected. So Q at x equal to L equal to, or Q conducted. Q conducted at x equal to L equal to Q convected. So we know at x equal to L, Q conducted is, or heat coming to the surface of the wall is Q generation into AL by 2. So convection, if you know heat transfer coefficient H, area of the wall, and the temperature difference, or the wall temperature is TW and the fluid temperature is TF. Simplify and you can write the expression for TF, T wall. Area will cancel out here. So you can write TW minus TF equal to Q generation into L by 2H. Right? So that means we have T wall is given obtained from T fluid plus Q generation into L into 2H. Now can you substitute this one into 2 and we can write eliminate T wall. Okay. So we can write Tx, or the temperature distribution in the wall, Tx equal to, so T wall can be replaced with this value, Tf plus Q generation L divided by 2H plus, what is there next? Q generation divided by 2K into Lx minus x square. Check it. What I'm doing is just writing in this equation 2, replacing this TW with the TF plus Q generation by 2H, Q generation L by 2H. The rest is same. So same thing I can write for the maximum temperature. Okay, T wall I have to replace with TF. And T max, tell me T max equal to TF plus Q generation divided by L into 2H. What is this one? Q generation divided by 8K. And this is L squared. Okay, so almost everything is done for this case, right? So many formulas, but very easy to remember. Okay, the manipulation, this one. Finally, what you have to understand here is clearly that whatever heat generated, that is going out of the wall on either side. Okay, so since same cooling is applicable on either side, 50% of the heat is going to the left side, 50% of the heat is going to the right side. That's all. Okay, so this is the simplest case of heat generation in a planar wall where two surfaces are at the same temperature. So the moment if there is no heat generation, what will happen? Okay, if the heat generation stops, then what will happen? Is there any heat transfer?
No heat transfer.
No heat transfer. Everywhere inside the wall, there is that same temperature, which is same as fluid temperature also. Okay. So again, we can also imagine a case where instead of generating heat, maybe some some process is going on which absorbs the heat, endothermic process, right? Then our QG will become negative. That's all. Qg becomes negative. The profile will be completely reversed. Okay. Instead of finding T max, you will get T minimum there, and it will start flowing into the wall from either side. Okay. Yes. So we'll solve one problem. So what it says, rate of heat generation in a metal slab of thickness 200 millimeter of thermal conductivity 120 watt per meter degree centigrade is 2 into 10 to the power 6 watts per meter. Okay. So thickness of the slab L is given, thermal conductivity K is given, and Q generation, small q, is given. If the temperature of each surface of the slab is 150 degrees centigrade, determine the temperature at the mid and quarter planes. So T wall is given. Simply use the expression 2 and obtain the temperature profile. Then substitute the X value. Okay. So we have given the thickness L is given as 0.2 meter. Thermal conductivity K 120 watt per meter degrees centigrade. Then Q generation 2 into 10 to the power 6 watt per meter cube, and T wall is given as 150 degrees centigrade. Okay. So temperature profile. T of X equal to, now we know the wall temperature, so we can use this formula, TW into Q generation divided by 2K into Lx minus X square. Okay. So you have to find out the temperature at mid and quarter planes. Mid is at X equal to L by 2. Temperature at X equal to L by 2. That is maximum temperature, T max. We know that is T wall plus Q generation into L square divided by 8K. Okay, substitute and tell me what is this. Maximum temperature is 150 T wall plus 2 into 10 to the power 6 Q generation. Thickness of the wall is 0.2 meter square divided by 8 into thermal conductivity 120. So what is the temperature of the wall at the center? Tell me.
233.3.
233.3. 233.3 degrees. Now you can find at X equal to L by 4. So L by 4. So you can substitute. (150) plus 2 into 10 to the power 6 into, okay, divided by 2 into 120. And now you substitute L is 0.2, L by 4, 0.2 by 4 minus 0.2 squared by 4 squared. Okay, 4 into 4 squared. How much?
212.5.
212.5
degrees Celsius.
Okay. So we got temperatures. Now temperature gradients we can calculate dT by dx and also heat transfer rate. DT by dx will be Q generation Q by 2K into L minus 2X. At x equal to L by 2, you know already dt by dx equal to 0. So that implies Q is equal to and at x equal to x L by 4 dt by dx equal to L by 4. So that is L minus L by 2L 2 into L by 4. Oh, that is Q generation divided by 8 L into 8. Okay. No, 4K. Generation L into L by 4K. 2 into 10 to the power 6 into L, that is 0.2 divided by 4 into 120.
So 833.33.
833.33. Okay. 833.33. What is this? dt by dx. So degrees centigrade divided by meter. Okay. Now we can calculate Q. Q at x equal to L by 2 is 0. Q at x equal to L by 4. Right? So minus K area is not given. So assuming area equal to 1, we can write dt by dx at x equal to L by 4.
Minus 10 to the power 5.
Yeah. A equal to 1, Q equal L by 4 is minus K is 120 into 1 into 830 3.33. So how much is this one?
Minus 100 kilojoules.
Minus
100 kilojoules. Okay, 100 kilojoules minus. If
Yes.
that, okay.
Yes, sir.
Kilowatts, not joules. Okay, so watts. So K is in watts. Watts per meter degree centigrade. 100 watts of heat will be transferred. 100 kilowatts of heat flows at x equal to L by 4. So what is the value at x equal to L by x equal to 0? So at the quarter, this is the amount, right? So you have to start from the middle of the wall. The rate of heat in the middle. Okay. So at the middle of the wall, Q is 0. At the quarter, Q at x equal to L by 4, it is 100 kilowatt, right? So then what about this at x equal to 0 then?
200.
How many?
Minus 200
200
kilowatt.
kilowatt.
Minus
200.
200
Okay.
kilowatts.
So you can see that it is exactly depends on the volume, right? So this volume is same as this volume. So you know. Okay. So total heat generated in the wall will be okay, total weight of heat. That is 200 into 2 or 400 kilowatts. Okay. So at x equal to L also we have same rate of heat flow. At x equal to L, that will be 200 kilowatts. Okay, 200 kilowatts goes from the right wall, 200 kilowatts goes from the left side surface. Okay. Yes. Okay, I'll stop it today. Okay, so we'll continue in the next class. Any doubts? Any questions? Okay, no questions, right? Yeah. Okay, then see you on Monday.